seam's done. Got a nice smooth fillet on the inside, and I've now pushed a bottle which was shaped just the right diameter up through the hole to stop the worst of the seepage. There's bound to be some, but hopefully it'll stop it from seeping down and creating a mess. I've wrapped it around the outside of the old through hole to get the diameter right, and it's probably 0.5 millimetre thick. So probably still need sanding and preparing, trimming, but it'll be pretty close, fingers crossed. So the new fridge replacement project continues. So the other thing to think about is the compressor and the cooling plate. So I already managed to get the screws out of the cooling plate earlier, and just now I've taken a couple of screws out of the thermostat. I mean, you call it the thermostat, but really it's just a temperature sensing switch. So you just set it to a number, and then when it gets to a proportion of that number in the sensor, it clicks on or off. So it's not, you can't really set it to 5 degrees. All you can set it to is number 3 or number 6. So it goes from 1 to 7. But so 7 I think would be cold, and 1 would be not so cold. And if it's cold outside, then you probably won't need number 7. You'll need number 3 to get a nice fridge temperature of say 5 degrees. It's not particularly brilliant, but it's how these boat fridges work. So it's what we've got to work with. So 2 screws were holding this in, and it was also connected to the electronic circuit for the compressor to switch it on and off. So the screws were a bit tricky to get out. The heads had been slightly damaged, and it's just a matter of being patient. So yeah, so that's out. So if we look inside now, what we can see is the cold plate is off. That's come off. That was starting to rust. So I don't know how long it's been in, and these are the wires where the temperature sensor was attached, and so I think I'm going to need to detach it from inside where it attaches to the compressor. So that is the next job. So the compressor sits inside here, and there it is. So you can see I've already disconnected the 2 lines which went to the through hull, which was there. So those are off. So there's now one more to do, which is this one here. So I need to disconnect that, and that looks like it then goes around and up, and it's kind of a copper pipe, I think. So it's gonna, and it goes up and around and then through there. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a fiddle to get that out, but I think initially I'll just get it disconnected, and no gas should escape because these are self-sealing connectors. So yes, let's get that disconnected, and maybe I won't take those out just yet, so I might need to see where they went and how they were routed when I come to put the new one in. So maybe taking those all out, putting the new one in will be a day job, 2-day job by itself. There we have it. The feed to the cold plate is now disconnected from the compressor, and the other line is this one, which went to the through hull, and then that one went to the through hull as well. So 2 fittings there. So 2 fittings here that went to the through hull, and this one that went to the fridge. So I can now take the compressor out, and I can now take the line to the cold plate out, although it's going to be very fiddly. So I could probably do that while I'm putting the new one in, so that I don't have to take everything apart. Like, all these shelves are going to have to come out. So there we go. Oh, I was bending down and crouching down. It's a young man's job. That is the pump for the aft shower. The pump for the forward shower is this really old unit here. This old thing. It's a motor and a separate pump with a belt, so it's a belt driven, very old pump. And that's some of the pipe work in there, some of which I've disconnected it to get access to the through hull. So fingers crossed that new through hull will go in on Saturday. I'm going to use some of this Sikaflex 291i, which is the equivalent of 5200, 3M 5200. So I'm going to use that to seal up around this is the new fitting for the fridge. So this will sit outside, and the sink will connect to here, and these are the pipes which take the cooling gas and fluids to and from the compressor and the cold plate. So yeah, and that's the new through hull fitting, which is DZR which stands for dezincification resistant. So that's DZR brass. So it's not quite bronze, but it's halfway between brass and bronze. And then there's a hose tail. I'm still waiting for the 90-degree elbow that I need, that hasn't come into stock yet. Okay, so projects are underway. This is the anode. This is the anode that came off the pop. So as you can see, that's quite worn. It started its life out looking probably, well, it was a different model to this, but it would have been this kind of size. So I don't know if the new one's come in yet. I might nip over to the workshop. And see if it's come in. Yeah, that's a good plan. So the tools I used for getting that gas connector disconnected were a pipe wrench and a 7/8 spanner. So it's hard getting the tools to the right size. So pipe wrench has actually been quite useful. So these are both very recent purchases. So getting the tools all sorted that are necessary to maintain a boat. So yesterday I got Robert's help and put the new keel cooler through hole into the boat and got that all Seeker flexed up and tightened the nut down, so that's been curing overnight. So let me show you what that looks like now from the inside. So there she is. So this Seeker flex feels like it's cured nicely, but I don't really want to disturb it. I'm not going to touch it. And these are the gas pipes coming out, which now need to kind of get bent underneath, around here, and then underneath, and then go through this bulkhead into the cupboard where that's where the compressor sits. So it needs to go underneath the floor in there, into the compressor. So there's a hole under here where a pipe goes, and behind that there's another hole where I've got to push these through, which is going to be a bit of a mission. I've got to be really careful not to bend these pipes so much that they break. So fingers crossed I'll do that successfully. And so also yesterday I took out the through hole for the previous sink drain, so just to see what it was like. Really, it needed to be turned around so that it was facing that way, so that it can take so it's in the new direction, so it can take the drain from the showers, from the shower pump. And on turning it round, I just thought I'd see how much of it I could take apart and clean up, and then I decided, well, let's just try and knock it out and have a look and see what it's like in the hole. And I took it out, and you can actually see the core. So yesterday I just filled up I dug out some of the core and filled it up with epoxy. So first job this morning, down here, so the first job this morning is to take off this tape and have a look and see what that looks like. I've got the pot outside, and that looks like it's cured nicely. Even, it's been 21 degrees this morning. It was 21 degrees yesterday. It's probably been a bit cooler overnight, but I think it's probably had enough time to cure. It's maybe not rock hard, but it's probably going to be pretty close to cured. So maybe I'll sand that and put another coat on if it's needed. Let's go and have a look. Right, let's have a look at that through hole, see if that epoxy is cured. There was a risk of rain last night, so I put plenty of tape above the fitting in case the rain did come down the hole. It would drip off and not go in there and contaminate the drying epoxy. And the idea of putting this blue tape on over the epoxy is to stop it from running out. It does have a tendency to run out of kind of vertical type joints. You're trying to apply it on a vertical plane, it will just run out of the hole if you're not careful. Yeah, that looks quite good. I think that's going to be okay as it is. I'll give that a sand. Yeah, I'll give that a sand before it goes super hard. Yeah, so that's good news. So the epoxy in there it's hard and shiny and smooth, and I think a little sand down, because there's some lumpy bits around. A little sand down, that should be ready to go.